Welcome back, persistent hikers, to Glimpses of our California parks. Today we will visit the central coastal region of our California parks, encompassing 55 of over 400 diverse public, state, and federal parks and their related units located within our Golden State. Pinnacles is a 26,000-acre scenic mountain park which contains the remnants of an ancient volcanic field, a public accessible park maintained by the National Park Service. Located within Monterey and San Benito counties, 5 miles east of Soledad, 80 miles southeast of San Jose, and 135 miles south of San Francisco. This park unit was first established in 1908 as a national monument to protect the geological significance of this ancient volcanic field. Later, in 2013, it became a national park. To reach the western entrance from the eastern section, one must travel by vehicle for over 2 hours one way. For those in good shape who wish to hike from the eastern region over to the western, there are 4 trails which lead one over the rocky peaks to the western side of the park. Although I'm sure they're scenic, they're rated strenuous with over 1,000 to 2,000 foot elevation gains. Strenuous is a trail warning I take quite seriously, scenic or not. However you choose to get there, this western section is well worth the visit. There's lots to see, and the trails are moderate with varying elevation gains, but well worth the effort. Because of the size and scope of Pinnacles, I have made this separate video of the western section. Interpretive signs can be found throughout the park. Here you will find a new visitor center, another talus cave, and 8 different hiking trails, some joining other eastern trails in the High Peaks area. Not realizing the time needed to reach this western entrance from the eastern section, we made a quick afternoon trip to scope out the area. Big mistake. We spent 4 hours driving. You need a full day here, and that means an early AM departure from the eastern campground would be necessary to give you the needed time to visit the scenic area. I wish they had a campground here. That would make the Pinnacles experience much more complete by offering 2 separate places to stay, one in the east and one in the west. At any rate, that afternoon we drove through the western entrance to the Chaparral parking area, the innermost area you can reach by car, and the staging area for most of the western section trails. Once parked and with little daylight left, I decided to take a quick hike before going back to our campground. Volcanic rock covered in multicolored leaching can be found all along the trail, along with volcanic outcroppings and remnants of a violent past, all that remains after the settling, tectonic plate movement, weathering, and erosion of the past 23 million years. Early the next morning, greeted by a family of wild turkeys, we left from the campground to check out the Western Section Visitor Center and then hike some of the trails. Once we arrived under a few dark clouds, we checked out the new visitor center. It's modern and with some nice displays. Well worth the time to explore. We even got to watch the park film. After which, we took the new Pruitt Point Trail in order to view the Pinnacles overlook. The Pruitt Point Trail is a new 1-mile scenic loop hiking path which begins and returns at the Visitor Center. It has awesome views of the Pinnacles Formation. The trail is even, well-maintained, an easy hike, only has about a 70-foot elevation gain, and even has a bench at the overview. The persistent hiker spent about an hour hiking, photographing, admiring the view, and simply taking the time to relax while enjoying this iconic overlook. Trust me, if you don't hike any other trail here at Pinnacles, take this one. The scenery is spectacular. A bird's eye view of the formation you'll never forget. The Pruitt Point Trail takes you to this overlook. This is Pinnacles as it was made to be viewed. Got to take a moment to thank the Park Service and all those responsible for this new trail. Those of us with mobility issues don't get the chance to experience remote sites in our parks. So when given an opportunity like this, a level, well-maintained, accessible trail with a scenic overlook, we have to take a moment to thank those responsible. With fond memories, we take the easy Pruitt Point Trail back to the Visitor Center, passing some colorful rocks along the way. Next stop, the Chaparral parking area, and preparation for our major hike to the Balconies Cliffs Trail. The Chaparral is a plant community characterized by a variety of evergreen plants, drought-resistant shrubs, and other vegetation which provides shelter and food for mammals, reptiles, birds, and insects. Speaking of insects, Pinnacles protects the largest diversity of bees in a single place in North America. Over 400 species have been ID'd living here. The entire chaparral and the trail leading to the Balconies Cliffs were covered in a rusty pink and crimson field of buckwheat, a great source of non-stop food for all those bees. It almost seems surreal walking amongst such natural beauty. Soon we approached the rocky entrance to the Balconies Trail Loop. Listed as a moderate trail with a 100-foot elevation gain, the dirt trail crosses up and over the Balconies Cave, takes you by the Balconies Cliffs, and then descends back down to Old Pinnacles Trail, which leads back through the Talus Cave to your original Balcony Trail. Some rocky challenges found along the way. As described in my Pinnacles video number 1, the eastern section, this volcanic structure began over 23 million years ago in Southern California's Antelope Valley. Molten lava penetrated the fissures, creating a volcanic field 15 miles long and 8,000 feet high. The movement of the San Andreas Fault split the volcanic field, carrying 2/3 Pinnacles Formation northward, now 195 miles north of that original volcanic field. Shaped by natural erosion and settling, Pinnacles Park, as we now see it, is the resulting aftermath of that original Nenach volcanic formation. Pretty wild, right? The information scientists obtained by studying Pinnacles Monument has been invaluable to our study of plate tectonics, and thus the protected status. The total Balconies Trail loop is 2.5 miles if you return through the Talus Cave, 3.5 miles if you retract your steps along the Balconies Cliff section, skipping the challenging Balconies Cave. Take your time to enjoy all the ancient volcanic rock features. They're everywhere on this trail. To justify my 3 hours on the trail, I remind you, for us seniors and those of us with walking difficulties, bad knees, feet, or hips, slow and steady wins the race, sets the pace, and gets us back to our base. Remember while hiking Pinnacles, this isn't just another mountain hike. You're actually exploring part of an ancient volcanic field, and it's only stopping by for a visit as it continues creeping northward. The least we can do as park visitors is pay our respect. And speaking of respect, I was happy noticing almost no trash and no vandalism of the ancient features. To the park volunteers who maintain these trails, and to all those park visitors and persistent hikers who respect our natural wonders, I salute you. I wasn't the only one using the trail that day. I will continue to remind you to acknowledge your personal agility and physical limits. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. Just enjoy the park experience. Park brochures and trail guides are designed for able-bodied hikers, healthy with no mobility issues. While on the Balconies Cliff Trail, I experienced some uneven footing, narrow cliff sections, tight rock passages, and one never again Talus Cave experience. I already have a meniscus issue, and crawling around inside that dark, unscenic pit was not the smartest thing I've ever done. For the Balcony Cliff Trail, I give it a 5-star rating. It's beautiful, but for the Balcony Cave section, I suggest you forget it. Thinking this Talus Cave similar to the Bear Gulch Cave, I ventured inside with a handheld flashlight, walking pole, day pack, camera, and one meniscus knee issue. Never again. The Bear Gulch Cave in the eastern section is far more scenic, has lots of natural light to help guide you, contains stairs and railings where needed, and yields a top-notch Talus Cave experience. Even for those of us with mobility issues, I give it a high mark experience. With that being said, and before you tackle any first-time trail adventure, grab the park brochures and pertinent trail guides, talk with a park ranger or volunteer, and in doing so, pay close attention to the following 4 issues. Time needed for the total hike. There and back. The park brochures are based on a healthy individual walking at a pace of 2 miles an hour. With my meniscus issue, I average about a mile an hour. Thus, a 4-hour park-rated hike would take me all day. I can't explain this enough. Know your personal limits and plan your hike accordingly. The second hiking issue to consider is difficulty rating. Again, the brochures and trail guides are designed for a healthy individual, not one with physical issues. Thus, a moderate rating trail can become a difficult one for us seniors or those with mobility issues. The third hiking issue to consider is elevation gain. There's a big difference between 100-foot and 1,000-foot elevation gain. There's also a major difference between hiking a trail at sea level and one at 4,000 feet. The fourth hiking issue to consider is weather. Check the forecast before you begin a hike. This one can really affect us seniors. Remember, you came to enjoy yourself. Why tackle 110-degree blistering heat or a sudden minus 30-degree snowstorm? Even though you planned your trip during nice weather, nature can be unpredictable. Remember, it's not up to the parks to rate their trails on our individual issues. They depend on us knowing our own limits, studying the trail guides, and using common sense before venturing out on any unfamiliar trail. The isolated high peaks of Pinnacles offers the California condors a place to nest and raise their young. In the 80s and 90s, Pinnacles was chosen as one of the few release sites in the United States to help protect the condor from extinction. Although I didn't get an opportunity to witness any of these magnificent birds on this visit, I have included a few rare images I recorded while visiting the Grand Canyon in Arizona. Weighing about 20 pounds and with a wingspan of 9.5 feet, they soar on the thermal updrafts at speeds of 55 miles per hour at altitudes of 15,000 feet. The California condor, up close and personal. In conclusion, if hiking amongst ancient volcanic remnants while witnessing unforgettable scenery is on your bucket list, Pinnacles is the park for you. I rate Pinnacles as one of my top 10 favorite national parks. Plan on giving yourself extra time to see both sections, the eastern and the western. Check out my earlier video of the eastern section. As Schwarzenegger would say, I'll be back. Most of the western trails offer challenges, but the scenery is well worth the extra effort. Don't forget to click the subscribe button to get the latest glimpses of our California parks.
Hope you enjoyed this park adventure. Take the time to visit our sponsors and become a monthly donor, assisting us in documenting each of our diverse federal and state California parks. By becoming a member of the Persistent Hikers and wearing our Glimpses patch, you are informing the young generation that we seniors still have the capability, although limited, to enjoy our parks just as much as they can. Until our next California park adventure, happy trails.